I'm Jessica Liley and welcome to Aussie Wristwatch. Now, if you're new to the channel, you probably have no idea that I don't know anything about watches, so let's get that out of the way. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not an expert. I love watches. I've been watching other people's YouTube channels for a long time. I've been researching. I've been doing this channel for just over a year. One of the YouTubers I really enjoy watching is Watch Gringa, or I should say Britt Pearce, aka Watch Gringa. And I watched one of her most recent videos where she was basically saying where she will never buy an Omega Seamaster 300M. So I thought I would have some fun today, all in jest. It's a joke, but I'm going to convince Britt, although probably not, but I'm going to have a go at trying to convince Britt as to why she should get an Omega Seamaster 300M. So she came up with 5 big problems as she sees them. And to be fair, she fully disclosed at the start of the video that, you know, she's having a bit of fun. It's her personal opinion, like everything with watches. It's very subjective. And these were her points. So point number 1, lack of size options. So one of the things that Britt raised in particular was that the current Seamaster 300M diver model is restricted in size options. Ironically, I'm actually wearing a 43.5 millimeter Seamaster. It's the titanium and ceramic bezel. I love this watch. We'll get into that shortly. And my wife, we have hers and hers matching Seamasters, Sedna Gold, and it's the 42 millimeter. And Britt talks about the 42 millimeter being too big for her, just from a preference point of view. I quite like this size. Britt used the Tudor Black Bay 54, 37 mil, new watch out this year, and she's kind of like, that is for her the sweet spot, which I get. Britt raises with the size of the watch is actually that the, I think it was pre-2000, 2018, I should say, not 2000. Oh yeah, 2018. Oh my goodness. Pre-2018, there was like the Neo Vintage Seamaster, which was, so I should say now discontinued, but in a smaller bezel size. I think at the time, maybe 41 millimeter. Might have to edit this and come back to you and get that right. But, and that watch was just, I think, a more compact, easier to wear on a smaller wrist type watch. And then post 2018, we were introduced to these larger models, sort of a focus. I think one would say that at the time, the watch market was into bigger watches. I mean, I've always been into bigger watches, so I don't know how true that is. I wasn't paying attention back then. But indeed, they're limited in the fact that they can pick a size. I mean, arguably, a Rolex Submariner only comes in one size currently. So, but a Submariner is now 41 mil, but I guess 42 is still bigger than 41. So if you're into a smaller watch, I'd get it. My wife has a smaller wrist, so her 42 millimeter is actually a good size. However, whilst the size is okay, the weight of this watch on her wrist and the way her wrist has like that bone that juts out sometimes means this watch isn't the most comfortable to wear. But, you know, I think it's perfect. So Britt, I think the size issue, I mean, you know, details, schmeetails. The next one, which I think is a universal love it or hate it, this will turn you off this watch either forever or you'll want it because of it, is the Helium escape valve. Now, it kind of does sit out like a dog's breakfast, but for me, I think it makes the watch very unique and distinct, and I really like it. And I've always kind of enjoyed it, sort of sitting up here at the, what is that, the 10 o'clock? But I get how it's very divisive and people aren't going to particularly love that about this watch. Now, Britt also raised a good point, like, who out there dives and has ever used the Helium escape valve? So yes, I suspect it is somewhat of a novelty, but that's the charm of this watch for me, that it's got its own little uniqueness to it. I mean, you can spot this baby coming a mile away and you just know that's a Seamaster. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, toothpaste cap thingy? Nah. It's a Helium escape valve, Britt, and it looks awesome. Hates the bracelet. She says it's like a 1990s or a 1980s, not in a good way kind of vibe. I agree with her. It doesn't taper, it's chunky. Most of my friends who love this watch talk about how the bracelet doesn't quite work for them. The easiest fix for that is to do what I do and have the rubber strap, further making this watch perfection, because I love this rubber strap. You dress it up, you dress it down. I have been swimming with this watch. It's perfect, and it's so much better than, I fully admit, so much better than the steel bracelet that you can get with the other models. So the easiest fix for that, Britt, is to just get the rubber strap. Problem solved. It tapers, it fits well, it looks elegant, it's super hard wearing. You don't have to worry about scratching it or the buckle. I mean, really, problem solved. Okay, the skeleton hands. This is a biggie. So here's the funny one for you. If you've seen my videos, you know I've done a series of videos about watch terms and that I'm not that au fait on a number of things. So skeleton hands is something I never really thought about. So once Britt mentioned it, I was mesmerized with it and stared at this watch for a great deal of time. Again, she raises the very valid point of the pre-2018 watches and the neo-vintage sort of classic look of the older Seamaster that didn't have the skeletonized hands. They were filled in and that was easier to read. But I don't know, there's a charm for me about this watch. It works. I'm looking at both here and it works really well. So on the Sedna Gold, I think they call this, there's Sedna Gold on the skeletonized hands, which I think, because it shimmers, it's actually easy to read the time on this. And then likewise, I find the hands on mine equally as easy. They're thick, they're fat. I think it gives a little bit of a charm. It makes them a little different. Is it as crisp and as elegant as the Rolex Submariner? No, but it makes it its own watch, different, unique, gives it a point of difference. So I'm not with you on that. I kind of like these hands, and thank you, Britt, for drawing them to my attention so I could actually bask in their glory for a momentary part of my day. Britt's final one is she loves it, but she can't buy it. This is where my argument might fall over a little bit. So I love this watch. Absolutely adore this watch. In fact, I love it so much. In one of my videos, I talk about how I've had this watch since about 2015. It only came into existence around 2018, 2019. So I love this watch so much. I think I've had it for way longer than I've actually had it. I got it in 2019, as it turns out, because someone in my comments mentioned to me when it was actually available. I looked up the receipt. Two things. Yes, I bought it in 2019, and both of these watches at the time were hovering either just under the $10,000 mark or just over, depending on which one. This one, being the titanium and ceramic and slightly bigger, was slightly more expensive. These watches now sit around the $16,000 mark, Australian. So in 4 years, if my math is correct, because it's terrible, we've gone up about $6,000. So like, what's that? 45% of the watch? I mean, ironically, I was terrible at maths at school, so no surprises there. But how does it go up 10% each year on average? I think it hasn't gone up 10% each year on average to make. I am sure of that. Of course, it's going to go up a percentage each year, inflationary, but this is ridiculous, guys. Like, come on. Totally get. So I think Britt said they're about 5,600 pounds, which makes about monopoly money here in Australia. It's 63 US cents currently, so I don't know what the pound is, but it's even worse than that. It's a lot of money for a watch. I totally agree. At the price point I got it for, absolutely, I think it's great value for what you get, and it's a near perfect watch. It certainly is an everyday, I've said this before and people have scoffed at me for it, but it used to be my everyday beater. And what I meant by that was it was just my daily wear. I don't beat any of my watches. I'm actually really OCD about that and try and keep them pristine. But I do get why Britt's like, I love it, but I can't buy it. Because I mean, I love it, but I can't buy it for the current price that it's at. So Omega, you know, take a good hard look at yourselves for that, guys. Are we trying to compete with Rolex? And if so, how is that working? But yeah, I mean, this is all fun, right? Like, I'm just having a laugh. Hopefully Britt watches this and has a laugh. Thank you for doing your video. I actually really enjoyed it. And definitely let's have a conversation in the comments about it. You know, normal rules of engagement apply. Don't be a dickhead. But yeah, let me know what you think about, do you have this watch? I know there's some fans out there. I know there's going to be some people maybe piling on about this, but I mean, I'm just having a laugh, guys. $16,000 for the Omega Seamaster. Ooh, I don't know. But like I said, definitely would buy this watch again if it was at the price point where I originally bought it. Give or take a couple of grand for genuine inflation, not the outrageous cost that it's at now. You know, Omega only outdone, I think, by JLC in terms of their price increases of late. Another video for another time, I fear. The Reverso is now, I think, for me, unattainable at that price point. But anyway, once again, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. Thanks again, Britt. Until next time, guys, have an awesome week.